Hello, this is Katie. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time. This is the A Little Scary Kit by Fancy Pants Designs. We have some ribbons, some ephemera. You can pause on that if you'd like to see all the pieces. Then we have a puffy sticker sheet. And then the paper pad. So I'm going to trim this open and look through it with you. This is a Peachy Cheap kit that I picked up. And so if you pick this one up as well, I will be making 13 cards. I really like those owls and those pumpkins. And that background is pretty cute too. This was kind of fun to work with. I didn't love it. And I don't know, the colors, maybe I just prefer like brighter colors, more purples for Halloween, some greens and things like that. So it just wasn't my normal. But anyway, that's okay. We made some pretty cute cards. So the back of one of those, and you'll even see on the front, is like off-white. Like there's no pattern to it. I was very confused. I just thought one of the backings of the papers had nothing, but it appears to be a pattern to them. I can't really see anything. But anyway, I'm going to be using some foam dimensionals. I'm just picking through what's left that I have. And I have trimmed 2 strips, just a little wider than 5.5 inches, of the black lace. And did I say ribbon? It's more like lace ribbon. And I have pre-folded card bases I'm going to be reaching for. And I will put my adhesive onto the card base. And if you're crafting along with me, I would put the ribbon on and around the back of the black piece first. You can either do that, you can do what I do here, which it would show on the inside of the card, or you can just trim off the sides. So I'm just putting tape runner through the middle, not for all of it, so it's kind of a little loose. But I probably should have done wrapped it around the black cardstock before I stuck down the black piece of cardstock. I do that on later cards because I remember to at some point. I did put some extra adhesive under one of the black pieces of lace just to hold it down a little more. So this is where I'm kind of explaining that I'm going to be folding it in on the inside. It doesn't really look that bad. You can also just cut it off the sides. Where I did the adhesive on the front, it'll stay like sticking to the card. So that's just fine. However you want to do that. I'm going to lift both of these, I think, the pumpkin at least, up on dimensionals. For these Peachy Cheap kits I have been bringing in very minimal. So I will be bringing in, the only thing not in the kit or from the kit will be black cardstock. So if you have that, just to kind of change it up a little bit and give that kind of that dark background as a card base rather than the white, and use the pattern paper with that. So the only different thing I'll be bringing in is black cardstock. And here I'm going to add more adhesive because it wasn't sticking down very well. You could also, I'm going to show you with another card base here, you could cut another piece of white cardstock and glue it down over that. It would be a very thick card, but you could do that. So then for the next one, you're going to want a 4 1/4 by 5.5, kind of like upright book opening, a normal card, like the average card, of the word background, the orange one. And then just a little bit less on both sides. I want to say maybe 1/2 inch less on both sides. So 1 inch, so 5.5 by 3 1/4. And then we're going to stick that black strip down the middle. You want to hold your paper down carefully when you have a very sticky tape runner or you're going to bend your corners like I did. But that's okay because we're going to stick it down. You won't really notice it. And then I'm going to lift up the sentiment on foam tape. So from the Ephemera die cuts, the light blue, A Little Spooky. And then we'll be using the red-headed witch that looks like that. I believe there are 3 witches in the die cut ephemera. You can use whichever one you'd like if you're crafting along. I decided that her hat needed some support, so I cut one of my dimensionals in half and shared it with another area. I didn't put anything on her feet. They're a little too small, but that's fine. She's plenty supported everywhere else. And then from the puffy stickers, we're going to be using these 2 balloons for decoration. And then the 2 poison bottles on either side of her. My poor little bent corner. It doesn't look great, but that's okay. You can always take a bone folder to kind of like flatten things out like that. We'll be using the Ouija board sticker, the 31 sticker, the October 31 die cut ephemera. And then to get all of these October with the 31st circled calendars, I actually cut out 7 of these from the pattern paper. So that was from one of the pattern paper sheets I had left over after I cut something out of it. Oops, I flung them everywhere. They're going to be like kind of cascading off up and to the left. As random as this card is, I just wanted it kind of like Ouija themed, spooky themed. So it just looks kind of funny. But I realized, and I have forgotten again, to put the ribbon underneath the cardstock. I'm just going to run a strip down the middle, and I believe on this one I'm just going to cut it off. I'm going to use my handy dandy ribbon scissors and cut that off. It's kind of, that felt really cool. It's kind of like, it's just very light and feathery, and it's only stuck down in the middle, so the lace is loose, but I ended up holding it down by putting down these other things. So the Ouija board sticker in the bottom right, the October 31 ephemera. I'm kind of trying to lay these out, but I do want to give them some dimension. So I'm going to lift them up on just 2 little squares each and kind of cascade them off to the left. To me, it was kind of like a paper tear-off calendar flying in the breeze. I don't know. It's silly, but it looks kind of cool and spooky. If you like scary movies, the Ouija movies are very good. I think the first one I preferred. I think the second one wasn't as good, but we like that one a lot. We've watched it at least 4 times, and we don't really do that unless we really like a movie. So that is one of our favorites. So there is our spooky calendar blowing away card. And then we're going to do a cutesy bat card. So we're going to be using the blue. It's a light blue background with black bats. And I'm going to stick that down to a pre-folded card base. The other day I cut and scored and folded lots of cardstock into card bases because that's just what I was in the mood to do. When you're in the mood to do something, I don't know, I just get an itch to do something, and I just grabbed a stack of paper and I did it. So now I have card bases for a while, at least maybe for some of this month, probably for the rest unless I do another kit, which I probably am, so we'll see about that. But I did quite a few, and I keep them in a drawer to the left of me, so they're just there to grab. It makes making a card a lot easier and quicker. Not that I don't enjoy the process. I don't need the whole process to be fast, but having something like a card base ready makes me want to create more, I guess I should say. It makes me want to sit down so I don't have to get a piece of paper. And I set a couple things, including my trimmer, on top of my scoreboard. So then I have to take those things off, score my paper, cut it just for 2 card bases. So that's why I made a bunch of them the other day, so that I can just reach for that very easily. So I highly recommend doing that. Some people send their paper off to like a copier place where they cut it, and I think they just cut it for you. But they'll bring like a whole case of Nina paper and get it cut, like pay someone to cut it. I think that's funny, but if you want to do that, by all means, do whatever you want. I just do it at home. So this one is kind of silly. By the way, any of these panels, except for the one where I showed you the measurement, I think I did that already. I just eyeballed. So I don't actually have measurements except for the card base is obviously 4¼ by 5½, but I don't have measurements for like this black piece. It appears that it's like 1/2 inch shorter on all sides. So it's probably 3¼ by 4½. And then this is going to be like a Halloween style up house with the balloons behind it, because I was running out of ideas because this kit doesn't totally make sense together. The colors are very interesting. It's very orange and black standard, but then like pink and pastel and light blue, which doesn't really make any sense. Anyway, so we have a Halloween up house and then some leaves blowing in the wind around it. I also use the side strips of my Stampin' Up! Dimensionals because it's also foam. So I'm just going to stick these down as in the order they appeared on the sticker sheet. And then we have our spooky Halloween up house. I didn't really know what to do on the right. I probably could have put another leaf, but that's okay. This one is pretty cute. I do pause while I glue down most of these items because it's going to take a while, and this video is already very long. So, but you'll see the placement of everything if you wanted to recreate it, if you bought this kit from Peachy Cheap. So I'm going to stick down our party banner, Halloween party banner background, 4¼ by 5½, and then this looks to be about 1/4 inch shorter on each side. So 3¾ by 5 inches, probably, for the black and orange plaid. Gingham? I don't know. It's not plaid. Gingham? I think it's gingham. I'm not very good at the names of types of patterns. That little candy thing didn't really make sense, and so I just put that on the inside of the card as kind of like an inner embellishment. And then I decided to do 3 candy corns, so I had an odd number so it didn't look funny, because things look better in odd numbers. And then I'm just kind of placing, because we used the I Want Candy sentiment, as many candies, die cuts as I could find, with the 2 suckers framing his face. So then I paused while I glued the rest of those down. And then for our next one, I thought the sentiment was funny because it's true when it comes to Halloween and fall. It is getting dark early. My husband's not too happy about it. It's very hard to wake up in the morning. He likes the summer because he likes when it's light out late, if that makes sense. And he likes barbecuing and stuff like that. So it's hard on him. I mean, I don't love the dark. I also don't like working until it's dark or driving in the dark, really. And it is getting dark pretty early these days. It's just very hard to wake up in the morning for work and be on time. This morning it was like 7 o'clock and it felt like it looked like 5:30 in the morning outside. Like it was way too dark, and I am just not having it. So during the day is fine because I love the weather and the cool, and I hate the summer heat, but the darkness in the morning is really making me want to stay in bed. So there's that. But other than that, it is the most wonderful time of the year. So this sentiment in the die cut set, is one long strip, but I had to trim it apart, and I did trim off both ends because the two ends were rounded, and I didn't want like 2 out of the 4 edges to be round. So I trimmed it so they were all straight, and so that it would fit on the card, because otherwise it was longer than 5.5 inches and it would have gone off of the card and I couldn't fit it in an envelope if I wanted to. So this is just a 4 1/4 by 5.5 of the kitty cat background. And then for the, 4 1/4 by 3, this is one of the ones where I gave you a measurement, of the opposite side of that paper. There are people who, if they're making a card for like the Instagram photo, which is fine, and they don't really plan on mailing it, then you can kind of go all out and decorate a card that has things that are going off of the edge. So you can literally think outside the box. You don't have to keep it within 4 1/4 by 5.5. You can have a base that's 4 1/4 by 5.5, but if you have like bits of ephemera or whatever you want to put on there going over the edge to where it would not fit in an envelope, sometimes those look really cool. You just won't be able to mail it unless you put it in like a bigger size envelope and protect it maybe. So don't forget about that. You can go outside the box. So I'll use the star background, and then we have the Ouija board ephemera die cut instead of the sticker that we already used. And then I'm remembering this time, I'm putting a strip of pink lace across the black, and then I'm going to cover the whole back side after I stick down the edges of the lace with more adhesive and just run that through the middle. So this looks like that looks a little more than 1/2 inch, possibly 3/4 shorter on both sides. And I can't do math, so 1.5 inch shorter than 4 1/4. I'm really sorry I don't have measurements for you. I was eyeballing so much of this because I have to prepare them before I do the video, or else this video would be an hour long. And then I just used the 2 bat ephemera die cuts. I put the bigger bat on the upper left and then the smaller bat on the lower right because that made the most sense to me. And then this card, which might be my favorite one, is super cute. And I just really like the owls and the pumpkin background and the kitty cat. So I'm going to stick down just black cardstock from my stash, 4 1/4 by 5.5 to the card base. And then for this piece, this looks like it's about 1/4 inch shorter on all sides. So take off 1/2 inch for both measurements. And then the too cute to spook, I lifted up on dimensionals, and then I'm going to do the same for the cat. The dimensionals I use for the cat are actually taller than the ones I used for the sentiment, which is fine. I just happened to reach for my thicker ones for him because I was running out on the other one. So he actually stands out a little bit more, which is fine. And I could not get those little pieces of the backing away from me. So he turned out super cute. I think that's my favorite card. And I actually thought I had prepped 12 cards for this video, but it ended up being 13, which could be a good thing or a bad thing if you believe in superstitious stuff. It's because I get the pieces together and then I stack them. So I had stacked a bunch of things and I didn't want all of the pieces shuffling. So I didn't want to keep counting. I lost count. So that's why I ended up making one more than I thought I needed. But that's fine. You get 13 cards. So this is kind of the layout I'm going for. I want the banner to end up on top. So I'm going to stick down the calendar ephemera die cut first on top of our lace, and glue is just the easier option to make sure that it actually sticks down to the lace and possibly through the lace to the paper. Glue will be better for that. And then the banner is going to hang over the calendar piece just a little bit. And there you go. There is that card. Then I believe this is the second to last card. I have the black cable knit pattern. That's what I'm going to call it because that's what it looks like. It looks like cable knit sweater material from the paper pad. And then a strip of the orange and white gingham. It looks to be like an inch wide by 5.5. And then I'm just going to glue down the Simply Spooktacular in the upper left corner and then lift these guys up on foam dimensionals. I am going through using a lot of these foam dimensionals from this bag that you saw that I've had for years. So I am using up some of my supplies, which is good. That is going to be the goal for 2022. I tried it in 2021. That didn't last very long. I think I lasted a few months or 2.5 months maybe. This will be the last card. And so for 2022, I should use what I have. So we're going to try our best to not buy card making stuff, art supplies. If I run out of glue or adhesive, which probably won't happen either, I will allow myself to refill things that are necessities. But as long as I can, I'm going to try to not buy stamps and art supplies, paint, things like that. So I am just going to trim off those orange ends. The orange lace is really cute because if you cut a little section of it that has like 4 bumps on it, it looks like a little butterfly. The lace was really cute, and I like that it was part of it. It kind of made me think of how I could incorporate it into these cards, and I don't normally do that. I hardly use the ribbon I have. I actually can't find my ribbon. I don't know where I put it. I'm sure it's somewhere. But we got to use our like pinky orange pumpkin and our blue house, and then our sentiment, if you've got it, haunt it. So that is the 13th card, and I'm going to go backwards and show you all of the cards that I made. And then that will be it. And our cute little kitty cat, I think that's my favorite one. I love the Ouija board ones because it's just spooky. I really like the candy cat too. And that one. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.